Hello, this is Roman of RomanInWriting.com. If you or anybody you know needs help with a piece of writing they're doing, be it an essay, an article, or a novel or a poem, please get in touch with me on RomanInWriting.com. Contact me through one of my social media contacts there, and I should get back to you within an hour to help you out with whatever you're writing on. Welcome back for part 2 of the Secrets of Writing series. Today we're going to talk about writing small. One of the biggest problems we can have when we're writing is that we try to think about the enormous task ahead of us. We think about writing that entire novel, or writing the entire essay, or even trying to think of any topic to write about, and we get stuck on how big the task is. Well, you can only write one sentence, one word, one letter at a time. But even when coming up with topics, it's best to try and narrow things down to be as specific as possible. Believe it or not, the more specific you get, the more you will be able to write. Most people don't believe me when I say this, but let's do a little exercise. I'd like you to close your eyes and think about the United States of America. Now think of a particular state, possibly the state you live in. Think of just that state. Now think of a city within that state. Now think about the street that you live on, just the street that you live on. Now think about your house. Now think about a room in that house. If you go back over all these things you thought about, from the United States to a particular state, to a particular city, to a particular street, house, inside that house, you'll notice as we got smaller, you probably had more and more detail and more stuff filling it out. I know when I think of the United States of America, the first thing that comes is a map, and maybe red, white, and blue, and the American flag, bald eagle. That's not a whole lot to write about, but the United States is a pretty big geographical area. Now, when you think about a state, I would think about Louisiana, that's being where I'm from, but even then still, I'm thinking more of southeast Louisiana, bayous, New Orleans, again, going to the city almost, bypassing the state. And when I think about New Orleans, I start thinking about things like the Superdome and Bourbon Street and the Mississippi River and all the things you can do. And even if you get smaller, like if I were to think smaller, it'd be like the French Quarter, and I can think of all kind of different places and bars and shops and all kind of cool stuff to do there. St. Louis Cathedral, the Cabildo, the statues. It's and then if you get even more, if you think about your own house and think about all the stories that live in your house, how many different things and stories and objects and stuff are in there, you start to get the idea that the smaller you get, the more there actually is to write about. You really almost can't get too specific when you start your writing. Another thing is, to take that to another level, is when you're actually writing. You don't need to think about the entirety at one time. Sure, you might want to think about a direction you want to go, but trying to think of the entirety of what you're writing as you're writing some specific part just doesn't do any good. Anne Lamott, who came up with the idea of this picture frame, and it was like 1 by 1. The inside of it was only 1 inch by 1 inch, and she kept that frame on her desk to remind her that that's all you need to write about, is that 1 by 1 inch, whatever fits inside that picture frame. So if you're writing a story, you're not trying to think about like developing this character from birth until death. You're just thinking about, okay, how do I get this person from their car to the front porch? What's the first conversation between these two characters? How do I get this person from here to there? Some small itty-bitty part, right? Think small. When you're writing an essay, you have your thesis statement, but you've got all these little things you need to do, all these small paragraphs. Again, try to limit your thesis statement as much as you can. Try to get it as small as you can. rather than thinking of like the ills of society, right? You want to bring that down to maybe alcohol or crime, or and even inside those, like, are we talking about hard alcohol? What type of crime are we talking about? If you're whatever you're trying to do, there's always subsets within that topic, and you want to try to narrow that topic down as much as you possibly can. At a certain point, yes, you're going to reach a place where it's you're not going to be able to do much, but I find that it's always better to try to get smaller, and keep trying to get smaller. It's very hard to run into that point, especially if you're writing an essay or something. It's very, very hard to get to that point. When doing an essay, when doing a poem or a piece of writing, especially at the beginning, but even throughout, try to think small. Don't think about the entire country or even a state. Try to think of an item in your house. Try to think of a particular street, a small topic, some itty bitty thing that you can explode out into that. If you have any questions or suggestions for upcoming videos, please comment below or contact me on any of my social media sites. And remember, if you need any help with any of your projects, if you need any help with any of your writing, even if you just need somebody to bounce some ideas off of, or if you need somebody to edit or revise or help you along with your writing process, please contact me at romanandwriting.com. Get in touch with me on the social media. Remember, the first session is always free and reasonable rates, no commitments after that. romanandwriting.com. Get in touch with me on social media, and I'd love to help you out.